What's up, everybody? This is JD of How It Stacks, and I'm here today with the one, the only Drew Hall. How are you, sir?
All I could think about was doing this and leaning into your shots.
Dude, it's fine. It's like I always, anytime
I wanted to, so I had to turn and look away because I was laughing because I want to be like, as you start your thing, be like.
creepily, like, we're still talking about like kind of a paranormal.
It's better if you're like.
What do I do with my hands?
Yeah, you just kind of fought.
Yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and do this throughout the interview. Yeah, just out of nowhere.
I don't. Rigid.
Just rigid. Talk to me about your, no. In all seriousness, Drew Hall we've just released Convergence. Came out Tuesday on iTunes on demand, and then it released everywhere in theaters the previous Friday. So it's kind of, how's that working for you? I mean, how's everything coming together with that?
It's good. It's good. You know, it's different, right?
Yeah.
You put out some stuff before, but seeing a movie come out that is more personal for me, seeing it come out and get received as well as it has been cool. You know, and it's also been not received well, so that's cool too. It's nice to
get the best of both worlds.
Look, man, it's a polarizing movie.
It is.
I have found very few people that sit in the middle on it. There's a few, according to IMDb. No, see, hey, this is fresh. I'm reporting as I go. Like you're getting the real. But like, you know, it's either 1 or 10. That's where we're at. It's like there's no. And it's not 10, but I mean, like, there's literally, like, people either really like Convergence or they don't like it, don't get it, and don't really care about it. And that's cool, that's great. It was never meant to be, it's an indie film, so it was never meant to be by the numbers. If I was making by the numbers stuff, I'd probably be driving a much better car than my beat up 2006
hand crank
Xterra.
Push it, let's go!
The low tire light and the check engine light have been on for 2 years.
You don't even know.
Woo! Aren't I fancy?
Yeah,
like 2 years, man.
I roll it, man.
Yeah, I'm a big baller. But you know, it's because it's like it's an indie. So we took a risk and we did something different. We put a picture out, and you know, obviously I'm trying to not be like, you don't know anything about it. You know the hell about it. You were in it, right?
I was in Convergence, so I am very close to the heart of the project. Right. But I think what's important isn't necessarily. What I got from it, it's what it gives, right? So you talked about eliciting reactions, either you're here or you're there, and I think as a creative type, that's our end game, right? You know, I mean, I've done podcasts, I've done other films, I've been great in some, I've been terrible, but I think eliciting reaction.
I know when you were pretty good in.
Yay! But I think the point is we strive to create that reaction, and you were able to do that with Convergence. Now I think. What people take from it is on their own, but you were able, I mean, to write something that generates an emotion. I mean, what was that process like for you? Did you sit down and go, this is going to be my masterpiece, or was it something that just kind of flew?
No. In all honesty, it was like a trio of events, right? It was the Triforce of Power. I'm trying to make it relevant for your fans.
No, it's great, dude. I mean,
we cover Legend of Zelda? I almost said Level of Zelda.
Did you honestly just ask me if I played Zelda?
No, did your show cover it?
Okay, so one of our dirty...
Did it stack?
Well, yes, but we did it real shitty-like, and so we actually owe our fans like a redo, because we did it for April Fools, so we did our entire podcast backwards. We stacked it first and didn't tell them what it was until like the very end of the show.
Oh, a little Inception thing.
And it was awful.
Christopher Nolan action.
Like, it looked great on paper, but it was awful.
Yeah, I've done plenty of that. I will tell you something right now.
No,
I have never in my life played a single moment of Legend of Zelda.
Okay, so
appeals zero to me.
Well,
I get it. I'm all for it. I understand it. The little dude with the elf ears.
That's Link.
Yeah.
You know the difference, right? Zelda's like the actual
prince. I actually know enough.
Okay. All right.
And his Wii game with the bow. Yep. You have a bow in the Wii game?
Sure. Okay.
I don't know.
It's fine.
I play first-person shooters, man. That's all I do.
I'm with you, man.
All right, so
I'm with you. Triforce of Power Convergence.
Triforce of Power Convergence, right. So we started with the idea that I lost my glasses.
Okay.
That's it.
Really?
That's period. It's a true story. So I lost my glasses 2 days later.
I didn't know you wore glasses.
No, sunglasses. That's how terrible it actually is. So I lost my sunglasses 2 days later. Actually, I lost my sunglasses. I called my wife and was like, hey, where are my glasses? We had just had a fight. She's holding my newborn child that at that point it's like 3 or 4 months old.
She also was in the film?
Yeah. It's the baby in the movie.
Yep.
And I'll talk about that at some point. But like, so she comes out, we just had a fight, just like in the movie. Like we're standing there, she hands me my glasses, and I was like, I keep forgetting them. And she's like, you need to get a strap or something. And infamously, the sunglass strap that I own, I just touched the mic, sorry, sir. The sunglass strap that I have and my glasses are hanging, that's where it comes from, right? So we have that conversation paralleling the movie. 2 days later, I found out a very dear friend, a really cool guy that I've known for a long time named Ben Walls, which is the character name in Convergence, played by Clayne Crawford. He died of cancer suddenly. His cancer looked like it was in remission, and then it came back, and that happens, and so I lose Ben. So then I'm looking for some sort of catharsis. So I start writing. And so I start writing an idea, and it's not even close to Convergence. But in the process of doing that, I started thinking back to my own history, and one of the things I pulled from was this idea of the anti-abortion stuff that occurred here in this part of the world, in the South, in the 90s, especially in Pensacola. And so I started researching that, and it kind of took me down this journey of my own history. So that scared me, and I knew that I'd been asked to write a horror film, so I took losing my glasses, my friend dying, and the only thing that's ever really scared me next to aliens. I believe if I could poof my hair right now, I would do it, and it's not aliens, but it's aliens. Let me do it to the lens. It's not aliens, but it's aliens. Terrified. But other than that, the only other thing that scares me is this idea of taking something I find very precious, because I'm a spiritual guy, and it like turning people into like vicious killers. It basically, to me, it's like they become zombies because they're no longer listening to rational reason, and they're killing for some belief or some notion. If you want to apply it in zombies, it's a primal urge, but they're going for this really weird thing to kill. That's where it came from. So you take those three together, and a few months later, Convergence's first draft comes out, and it's pretty shitty. And I get notes on it, and I go back and make some adjustments, and then I made a pitch, and kind of went from there.
I think something that you mentioned that really resonated with me as far as the writing process goes is when people lose their mind and they just become cold-hearted killers. And sure. I relate that to almost a religious terrorism. And I don't know, I don't really want to get off on that tangent.
Sure.
But I mean, in today's day and age, it is very, very relevant to a lot of things happening in modern society.
No, it's absolutely right.
And I don't know, I mean, and it's kind of frightening because, I mean, you're talking about a spiritual belief that drives somebody to take a life. And I think that to me is what I find very scary about that part.
Well, what's terrifying to me is they do it with conviction, or in that it's the right thing.
Yeah, in their mind, that is the right decision.
That's scarier to me than any monster in history.
Oh, yeah.
Because look, we make up monsters all the time.
Yeah,
like we make up, xenomorphs, right? Mm-hmm. They're scary, they're creepy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like they're kind of animalistic. So we kind of go with that. Werewolves, animalistic. They have We're talking about human beings being transformed into something that is not necessarily human anymore. Mentally, in my opinion.
And it is.
Because there is no spiritual side to that whatsoever. It is complete and total brainwash element. And again, from a spiritual side, being a guy that believes, I've studied a lot of philosophy, so my study is more in Judeo-Christianity, so for me, I focus on that. And taking a Christian in that sense and applying it, and there's been some chatter, like why didn't I use anybody else? But that's not the story. The story was in the 1990s, and based on a certain guy, I don't really ever say who I based it on. People have picked up and made assumptions, but based on truth, right? And exploring that truth. And that all happened in my lifetime as a kid, and it also happened in our yard. Like this is in our yard. This stuff, these people getting killed.
That's terrifying.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, I think the human mind in itself is just an utter fascination for me. But to see what it's capable of with misdirection, religious beliefs, and the things that we are capable of not in our right mind is absolutely terrifying. And I think what allure and what makes Convergence kind of mystical in its own sense, and I don't like that word associated with the film, but I think it's the fact of it's a very specific visualization of what can and does happen to people.
Right.
And I think especially throughout the film, you see the struggle between both sides of it. Now you see the struggle to be this, right, and then you see the struggle of what could be and what we're capable of in the light of things.
Right, and on both sides, right? So one of the things, a theme of the film is redemption, right? And and everyone picks up on redemption. We all understand redemption. It's the most common thing in theme in films, right? So most modern cinema adaptations of that phrase are something bad happens, hero rises, hero kills villain.
The hero's journey.
The hero's journey. Redemption, right? Or the hero has some tarnish and he has to overcome his redemption, become something better. My question is, that doesn't happen a lot to me, at least in my understanding of the real world.
You've never had a hero's journey?
All the time when I go to the bathroom.
Right.
It's like a championship.
Ding, ding, ding.
I got one poop joke in. That's what I was after.
Yay!
You gotta lighten the mood. Yeah.
No breathing.
Nice. That was well done.
You like that?
Yeah. Is that's not the actual lyrics though, is it?
It could be. Sometimes depends on your appreciation of Papa Roach, but it's suffocation, no breathing is the actual.
Oh, but defecation, good for you.
Defecation, no breathing.
That's good. I like it.
Because I cut my. Never mind.
So redemption in that sense. So in Convergence, we actually see what's on the other side of redemption. So, and I mean that as if, redemption is a plane this way, what's on the backside? So we see the word redemption, what's the one over here? And, and that's the exploration I wanted to take. So we have a character that goes through this process of seeing redemption, opportunity for redemption, and then he kind of goes down a different path that's not the norm, right? Again, being an indie film, we should expose the boundaries of something new.
I think you're absolutely right. I believe, and we've talked about this when we talked about Ether, we've talked about it off the record, we've talked about it a lot. And I believe that we're getting to a point in society that we're getting tired of capes, tights, and all those things. Now, the numbers are going to say very much different.
Right.
Personally, I'm right there. Like, I want to see different. And I think what Convergence does very well is it shows choice.
Right.
Okay, so we talk about redemption, and it's actively a choice. I choose to be a good person, or I choose to be a bad person,
right.
and that shows the journey to choice for me.
Right.
And I think that was big. Was that an intentional thing for you to show?
Sure.
And illustrate that?
Yeah, I mean, again, for me, the exploratory side of it is looking at it from, okay, cool, we have a character that's going to go through something. Let's see what he does when we present him with this. Let's see what he does when he presents him with this. And again, it's hinged on a lot of layers.
Right.
It's not an easy movie. It's just not. I wish it were in some ways, because I would probably get, the way it looks, the performances, all that stuff are great, right? No one knocks that stuff. It's fantastic in that capacity, but it's not a challenging movie. Like, I get bored, for me, watching a movie if I already know what's gonna happen. For example, if they announce, like, a sequel is coming before the movie's even played, what's the point?
Yep.
You just took all the stakes away.
Yep.
Like, they're all gone. So this is the anti-stakes movie. You actually don't know the stakes in Convergence. Like, it's meant to be disorienting, because what happens when you go through that passage? You don't know where you are, and there's been interpretations that they're in purgatory. I never say it. It's never said one time in that film that they're in any sort of purgatory space, ever, for a reason, because I'm not going to dictate that religion. Therefore, how do I then go through and dictate rules? So suddenly I have to put rules out that say that you have to do this, to do this, to do this, to do this. I don't know what the afterlife is. I'm showing you a thought.
Yeah.
Right? I know what it is for me in a belief system.
Right.
So if I define the afterlife, then I've just preached at you, and then I'm telling you how to believe. I'm giving you an option to make a choice, which is the whole point of the movie.
Something you said that really stands out to me was you leave a lot of Convergences left open for interpretation. I find that very alluring as a viewer, because a lot of times I want to interpret it and make it mean something for myself. It helps with relating. Did you find that to be a struggle for you to leave it open for like that, or did it just kind of come naturally to make sure that people can actually make it their own?
Yeah, look, I don't have the answer. I only have faith. And so part of the film itself, the threshold of the chapel and the other components in the film are about faith. And it's this idea pulled from Indiana Jones, weirdly.
Temple of Doom.
No, it's actually Last Crusade. The idea of stepping onto the bridge, right? That's a leap of faith.
Yeah.
So it's an homage to that. So you have this idea that you're crossing across into nothing. You're crossing this threshold from a hospital hallway, that cold sort of sterile place, into a chapel that does not exist. And there's no chapel in any hospital that's that big. I've been to a lot of them, and they're all like tiny shoe boxes.
They're very like pillbox.
Yeah, it's the idea. It's efficiency. It's like get them in, get them out, right?
Yep. Get the prayers, get them out.
Yeah, exactly. So
there's the tithe box in the corner.
Yeah, and the Jesus.
Yeah, the Jesus.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
So you have that setup. So the idea is like, It's about faith. So the ending is to leave that side. If I define everything, if everything's always mapped out and we're talking about it and the film is about faith, then suddenly I've given you all the directions. That makes me Daniel. Like as soon as I start making up false stuff, that gives me Daniel. It should be open for you to go find. So if it does, I'm not saying to go find religion or whatever,
right.
That's your business. But if the interpretation for you becomes part of the journey, right, of understanding what the movie's about, or understanding what the ending means, or what was the reference point in there that changed, like because there's a pretty big turn in the film. Yeah. So any of those moments, if those are things that inspire you to look into the idea behind it, good. Because the whole concept is you have to place your faith in something. I don't care what it is, that's your business. But you have to put your faith in something somewhere.
Yeah, I think
by defining it, it takes that away, in my opinion.
I mean, I think you're dead on. Regardless of if we're getting on a whole religious topic, but if you're atheist, if you're a Christian, if you're Catholic, if you're this, you believe in something. Regardless if it's science, if it's this, you're innately, we believe in something.
Right.
That's just human nature. And I think Convergence is a good visualization of that. I'm going to use that word again because it absolutely is. It shows redemption. It shows choice. And I think the characters inside of the film, aside from the one that I played, all right. That was nice.
That was good.
But they symbolize a different aspect of life.
Right.
Jude pops out to me very, very prominently for some like anger.
Yeah, especially like in his circumstance. I mean,
yeah.
I didn't say where they were from.
Yeah.
And Philip Forna, super talented. He's such a good actor.
He is. Beast, man.
Beyond beast.
Right?
Like, dude makes me scared. He's so swole.
Right.
He's just one of them guys.
We're not advertising Phil, by the way.
No, we're totally. I'm advertising Phil.
He's advertising Phil.
Advertising.
Phil,
Phil.
You get free publicity today. Yeah. Congratulations. Thanks for tuning in.
The thing is, like, Phil, he took that character somewhere that I didn't originally set it up.
Right.
He came in the audition and he put this spin on it because I like to leave things open. And, you don't cast for color and I don't cast for.
I think you should. I think you should let the actor.
In Convergence, I didn't cast for time. Yeah. I let them kind of run with it, and he came in and put this performance down and turned it into what it is. Which my belief of his interpretation is that it's kind of around. I would say it's around someone through the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
And so he's pulling from that. And you just based on the language he gave, right? And the conversations he and I had private, right? And so he took that crazy. And you feel it because you understand it because we've all been there.
Yep.
I mean, I've not been through the race side of it, but I mean, I've been through the anger side of it.
The anger that he brought, yes, yeah.
And so he created that element that's so unique. And I to me, it's heartbreaking. His character breaks my heart. The nurse breaks my heart.
Yes.
Everybody in that place breaks my heart, but one guy, and that one guy is Daniel.
And
he doesn't break my heart.
And like what I think, and I don't know if it was intentional, man, and I don't think that it was. I think it was the writing process taking over, which I do believe happens. I really do. I do believe once you're in the zone, it just flows out of you. And I believe that each character represents a certain aspect of the personality trait, a certain aspect of life, and I think it's pictured very, very well in the film as far as all of the cast of characters. Right. Now, Convergence is very different from the other films that you've made. We'll say Phoenix Rising, Sons of Liberty, were all very action-oriented.
Sure.
Convergence has aspects of that. Did you find switching gears a difficult process, or was it just kind of natural to change a kind of role
I would say it's more of an honest process. So the films I've done prior were for hire. I got graciously hired by someone that wanted me to tell their story.
Sure.
And so they were their scripts and their world and their energy put into the writing side, and that's great. And I did the best of to my ability to make those as good as I could possibly make them. But when you do your own film, there's something about it where there's pieces in that movie that nobody else will understand that are mine, that are very internally mine. There is references to my past and my life and what I grew up with. So he pops a tape in listening to Toad the Wet Sprocket Fall Down, right?
Yes.
That song is a song that me and the first AD, who have been friends for 20 plus years, that Toad the Wet Sprocket's his favorite band. So when we were younger, we would drive around in his car and listen to Toad the Wet Sprocket on cassette. That's my homage to him, right? There's a sequence in there where the nurse says, "Fine as frog's hair," right? And there's a correction, and these both relate. There's a correction where the guard says something, Ben comes in and says, "Oh, 1887, talking about a shotgun." And the guard says 1897. Those two line up with a period in my life when I worked for a company, and you know, it was a manufacturer or a marketing company that dealt with a lot of firearms, and that was just something that was said in that place, and it was an homage to that. And then there's personal homages. Finley, right? His daughter's dumbest thing I ever did. Never do it again. I'll never name my own kid. Like, what was I thinking? Because now to me, it's like emotional projection times 10, so it becomes even more personal. So,
but I think what's cool, and you might be, I think you're selling yourself a little short, but by putting her in there, that's something you're going to have forever, right? You'll have her in that shape, in that space for forever, you know. And I think when viewers watch that, even if they don't know that story, I mean, it's a beautiful thing, and it shows that you care enough to invest something like that is as precious as her into a project like that.
I am genetically invested.
You are genetically invested in Convergence,
and the sequel.
And the sequel, Converged.
Yeah.
I'm patenting that.
Convergence.
Convergence.
Huh? There it is.
We're done. It's over.
No.
As an independent, we've spoken off the record about the difficulty of getting Convergence to the public.
Sure.
What was that process like versus maybe some of the other projects you've worked on, or as an independent facing the juggernauts of film today?
The other stuff sold quick. Like, we got them out fairly fast. Convergence was tricky. I was very particular on who we were going to get into a relationship with, because, I mean, in some ways you're marrying. So, you know, our process was we ended up, I mean, Convergence was shot, what, 2013? Is that right? 2013? Yeah.
Yeah.
2013.
Oh, shit, yeah.
And it just came out because it had nothing to do with anything than release schedule as part of it. We'll give a good 6 months to that. So a year and a half, I wanted to find, as an indie, I wanted to find the right relationship. And we got fortunate enough to link up with a company called MPI, or Dark Sky Film, same thing. They championed the film. I mean, they championed the film. And they've taken it to a position that I never thought possible, and they've celebrated on a level that is great, and they've pushed it, and they've done a great job with it. You know, it's a process to get something out when you care about it, when you're invested into it. It just takes a long time to make things work.
We've talked about a lot about Convergence. We've talked about how, like, the distribution side of it, how the difficulty of making it, and the writing process. We've hinted at the cast.
Right.
Let's talk about the cast.
To me, the cast is what makes the movie work, right? And that's any movie. Like, it's all driven on it. Like, Transformers, you know, the fact that they find giant robots is a... I was hoping you would straight face it, and you would have. Just stop. So let me tell you, quick perspective behind the scenes. Like, he turns it, because you can't always see the other camera that I just put my hand in front of. He just turns it on and off. All right, so cast-wise, the funny thing with Convergence is there is no funny thing. It's a pretty serious movie. I don't know.
There's funny parts.
There's not a funny part.
Okay, I have to, like, the part that cracks me up.
Is there a funny part in that?
That gets me, and you may not think it's the part it is. Yeah. And I don't want to...
Is it a fight scene?
It's not a fight scene. It leads into my scene.
Oh.
Okay.
What? Oh, where he gets yanked?
Yeah,
listen.
Well, no, what it is, okay, the part that I find funny, it's like, they're running through the thing, and they're like, oh my God, we gotta get the fuck out of here. Wait a minute. We just split up.
Well, it's playing the trope.
I know.
It's supposed to go classic horror.
It is.
The only part I always thought was funny.
It reminds me of Fred.
It's totally from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah,
totally.
For the people who don't know, who got that reference, it's Freddy from Scooby-Doo.
There's a bit where Klain...
Well, Casey, you did a great job, buddy.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
There's a scene between Klain and the Brute, and they're fighting, and he smashes, and it's my little, again, Indiana Jones moment. He smashes like a desk drawer across the Brute's head, and then he just looks at him. Nothing happens. He's like, shit.
Yeah.
That's a me moment. Like, that's like...
Well, you get it. Yeah. That's in life, dude. You get, like, I mean, we've all been in instances where we're like, God damn it, you know, and like, fuck, what do I do now, man? So,
and then you just give up. But that goes into the performances, right? So the thing with those guys was, like, Klain came in and we talked about it, and one of the reasons we were attracted to talking to Klain, to be Ben, I had to be very, because of the personal part, I spoke of him playing someone who was real to me. I needed to make sure that he played it with confidence and played it in the right way. Ben, my real friend Ben, was not like the Ben Walls in the movie, but I also didn't want to do disservice to Ben by having somebody faux a Southern accent and come across as a caricature, right?
Right.
Ernest Goes to Purgatory is like what I just didn't want that. Yeah. I needed it to be real and authentic, and Klain understands that. Klain spends a lot of time in Atlanta. I believe Rectify shot in Atlanta.
I think,
Atlanta and LA maybe, but he understands that space. And so Clayne got it. And so he and I talked and we got along really well and we understood that. And he kind of got in my head very quickly and we just have a friendship, like it just exists. And it's as if it existed for a long time. Ethan, on the other hand, was a completely different thing. Ethan comes from Scott Robinson, the producer. We sat down and we were looking at names and I had all these ideas and we were going back and forth. And then one day he's like, dude, I know this is gonna sound crazy. What about Ethan Embry as Daniel? And I was like, that's cool. That sounds.
You're like, hey, okay.
Like, it took me a minute to digest it.
It was the respectful friend. I could see it.
Yeah, but it took me a second, and then he was like, no, seriously, hear me out, and he pitched it. And I thought I had seen Ethan in Cheap Thrills, which if you haven't seen is a cool movie.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
So I saw Cheap Thrills. And
I've been an Ethan fan since like Empire Record. Like,
dude, the guy's a beast. Yeah, he's brilliant.
Yeah, he is.
I saw Cheap Thrills, and I was like, that's it. That's brilliant. Scott, you did it. So we met with Ethan, and of course his performance is like gold.
I will say
both those guys together in their two scenes where they're like, oh my god.
The fight sequence alone, dude, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I again, not being a homeboy or just dude, like, yeah.
Yeah, they're solid, right? It's just good, and it's real. It feels real.
Yeah.
And then for me, like I saw a show called Boomtown with it was Graham. What's Graham's last name? Anyway. This writer I really like, and he wrote a show called Boomtown, and it was a cop show. And there's a character on there named Fearless, played by Michael T. Williamson. And he was also in Bubba Gump, or also in Forrest Gump, and played Bubba. And then Heat and 10,000, The Purge 3, he's in that as well. But like, I saw Michael T. and I've loved him since as Fearless on Boomtown. It's like, I just got to work with him. So finally we were able to get to him and he comes on board. And then we start stacking in all these like incredible actors, you know, because once you get a couple, then everybody's like, cool, this is
Ethan
fun.
Embry's doing that? Clayne Crawford's on that? Yeah,
they have fun with the idea. Michael T., that's cool. So then we get Laura Cowett, and Laura's just, she's easily one of the most wonderful human beings I've ever met. Alicia O'Shea is just, I fell in love with her probably 5 times a day when she was on set. Like I would just look at her and fall in love with her. Like how can you not? Because part of me is projecting, right? But the other part of me is just, there's just something about her that's magical. And so her and Laura, I'm just constantly in that. And we had Vivi Pineda, who's brilliant. She's in Pain and Gain, and fantastic in that. And she's fun and she was great on set. And then Phil, we talked about.
Yep.
And then we go to this other group of characters, not to do any spoilers. And then we have like Knuckle Turd McGee and and World's Best Extra. That's what I call Casey. No. Then we have another group that comes in that brings the stakes to a whole new level because they're suddenly introduced. And that's the harder part. You have to sell a character in a shorter amount of time, right? And so this new group comes in and it changes the whole dynamic of the film and suddenly it's like, what the heck? And everything changes. So, you know, we have the Miles, Luis, what is Luis's last name? De Silva. So you have, I just blanked on it and I just talked to him. But you have Luis De Silva comes in and plays Miles and he's funny as hell.
Yeah.
Like he's great. He's the comic relief in some ways in that space. Catalina's great. You know, I've worked with Kat before a couple of times, 3 times.
Yeah.
And so I know Kat's gonna give me what I need to get through it. And then Casey Myers I've worked with a couple of times, well, same amount of time. I'll just say, Casey's, you know, and then Casey did a ton of research.
Yeah.
And so he kind of built it and kind of went from there.
Yeah, I think, and this is being on my side of it there. I mean, I was there for a brief period of time, and seeing the actors and everybody working together. This was a point I wanted to make, and this is a kudos to you and to Horst. You guys have an innate ability that fascinates me, and it's a sense of motivating people to give the best effort, okay? And I go back to Ether, okay? So on the set of Ether, you walked into a room full of, I think, 50, 75, I'm gonna use the term extras, okay?
Performers.
I know, that's where I'm going, okay?
Yeah,
So we walk in there, and they're predominantly they're cattle in the film industry, which is very unfortunate, because those are very hardworking individuals that I guarantee you will sell a scene just as much as the top billed guy in the town.
Gotta have them.
And you walked in there, and they're performers. And dude, they are loyal to the death, and they sold Ether, okay? Right. Go back, and we're on Convergence. We didn't have any performers. We did. I mean, we didn't have. I hate to use the term extras, but in the business, we didn't have extras in that film. We had very few. Yeah, but your wife. Yep, my wife was in it, which is a great memory for me. But my point is that you find a way to motivate the people you're working with to give you the best effort. Now, I will say from the Saturday that we worked together on, Ether and Convergence, I did not see a person who I didn't think was giving 110%, and I don't know how you do it.
Look, a lot of it comes from business, right? I'm there to deliver create a movie. I'm personal about it, right? So remove the movie side of it. I'm still there to finish a product. I have an investor, but standing beside me and supporting me. So I'm responsible to them to make sure that I complete my job. So the first thing I do is show up, knowing exactly what I want to do. It doesn't mean that's what we're going to do, but I try and show up with that. And same with Horst. The trick is actors come to set prepared, right? So I try and come to set prepared and not leave anybody hanging. So if there's a question, at least I have an answer or I can attempt to deliver said answer. But it's a lead from the front mentality. There's nothing ever, I'll do a stunt. I've done them, trust me, I've fallen down some really hard stuff to help sell a scene when we kind of ran out of stunt performers. There's nothing that will be in a scene that I wouldn't do, or if they wanted me to do it, I would do it just to show it, just because the idea is it should be trust. And the crew has to trust, and the cast has to trust, and the money guys have to trust, and everybody has to put trust in a vision, right? But the easiest thing in the world is hire people smarter than you. That's the greatest trick I've ever learned. So all I do is I hire smarter cast than me. I'm serious.
It's a great point.
I hire smarter cast, smarter production crew. I hire everybody smarter than me. And then all I do is funnel their smartness, their smarties.
The smarties.
Into a package, and we tie them up so that someone can enjoy them. Right. I just package their smarties. And then once I have those collected, all I am is the rapper holding all these great ideas together. What? How about that for a freaking thing?
I now have to have Smarties. I think we might just name that like Smarties, I'm the rapper.
If we get a little Smarties logo on the bottom, how wide's that shot? Can we put a Smarties right here? Just like, a Smarties?
Or when he's doing this,
I'll
just
do this.
like
Smarties.
Superimpose it.
Does that work? Yeah, there we are.
Oh,
break the fourth wall.
That's what we do here, dude.
I've Nick Saban'd a few times, by the way.
Well, dude, Deadpool's coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. And so,
we just dated that one.
Yeah. I just got to say thanks, man. I love to sit down and talk the nuts and bolts of things.
Can I ask you 2 questions?
Sure.
Did you quit your job for Convergence?
Yeah, in a roundabout way. I did. So I was on my way out. I had put in my notice, and I had requested the time off to shoot the project, and they didn't give it to me. So I did call in, and I did. I said I was sick, and I was not sick.
Did you get fired?
I mean,
you'd already put a notice.
I never came back.
Do you self-fired?
Do you
masochistic? You pseudo-fired yourself?
I did. I will put it to you like this. If I had the choice to do it again, I would have done it in a heartbeat. I've been passionate for film since I was very little, and to have the opportunity to be involved with a project, regardless of where I fall and whatever, yes.
What is the most challenging part for you as an actor?
The most challenging thing for me is
on a film like that. Knowing that your performance is based into a very small window. Do you look at the page count? Do you have envy of the page count?
Yeah. I mean, I think every actor, regardless if they admit it or not, there's an ego side of it. You know, like I want my name in lights. I want to be that guy. But there's also that side of it that says every character is just as important as the lead. So I do believe that performers are just as important as Johnny Depp's. I do believe that. For me, though, when I walk into a space and I have 3, 4, 5 lines, whatever that scenario is, it's tough for me. But I also find that it's fun, it's exciting. You know, like I have an improv background, so a lot of I get, hey, I get 2 words and I've got to create this whole background of life behind it. So
I have 1 word for you.
Okay, I'm the one.
Convergence. Sell it. Go right to here, to this lens, please.
Convergence.
And go.
If you want to talk about a film that's going to drive home an emotion and make you emote and feel things that you didn't know that you were thinking or that you wanted, it would be Convergence.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Maybe just a little bit bigger, better.
Okay. Convergence. Not only is it just a film.
I'm sorry. Just real quick. A little more better. Just slightly. It's great.
If I had to talk to you about a movie, and not just any movie, it would be Convergence. And when I call it a movie, I'm not doing it any justice. I'm actually taking away from it because it's not a film. It's an experience, one that you're going to embark on.
We had a little throat.
We did.
Yeah.
You're right. That was my fault.
Yeah, it's okay. Smarties.
Journey. What does it mean, and what is it? For me, it was convergence, starting from a sequence of events that I didn't have any real weight involvement in, and going to the end game where I get to see, is my life, is it a choice? Do I choose to redeem myself? Do I choose to go against the grain? That's what that meant for me. It was visualizing the journey for me. And again, I don't like to call it a film because it's not. It's an embarkment on a much greater scale, on a global scale. And for me, it was understanding who I wanted to be and what I could be. That's what Convergence is.
That was great. So, for Howard Stacks, I'm Drew Hall, and thanks for watching. Please, for the love of God, let that be where we go. That's the most horrific. People are going to think that's how I direct Jonathan. Like, I would never in a million years be like, do it better.
I almost walked over and gave you the chug of water after you're like, you had a little throat thing. I wanted to just cut into the scene.
I was like,
Are we rolling credits over this? Because that would be brilliant. Yeah. Just names.
Just like Jeff Goldblum. He's an actor in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Just put actor.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum.
Put like actor, played by actor.
Yeah, exactly. Well done.
Yeah.
Sorry to put you on the spot. I just wanted to, sometimes it should be about you.
Hey, whatever, man. I felt I did all right.
At one point, that's why I turned away. I was like, this is so ludicrous, and this, it's gone. Like, we've hit the threshold of
I did. At first, I thought you were being serious, so I was like, I'm going to take it that way. And then you're like, no. More better. And I was like, well, that's the direction we're going then. That's what you're going to get.